Hi, I'm Michelle Stolzenberg, and today we're going to talk about our Introduction to Instructional Technology, Module 13, Copyright and Fair Use. Copyright laws are based on the belief that anyone who creates an original, tangible work deserves to be compensated for that work. That compensation encourages more creative work, and the society as a whole benefits as the creative efforts of its members. Basically, to me, that just says, artists are allowed to create new art. You're allowed to record it. We're allowed to compensate on that, make money on it. And when people don't get the copyright permission to use your item, you're losing money as an artist. Let's see, according to the law, copyright works must be tangible, which means it has to be written down, it has to be recorded, there has to be a hard copy of it. It also has to be creative. But what is creativity? Creativity is kind of subjective. One thing that is not copyrightable is facts. So let's see. First question is, when researching the module, what was I surprised? What areas were I surprised with? First, I didn't know there were so many works available to use in the public domain. I didn't realize anything published before 1923, public domain, you can use it. Anything between 1923 and 76 that did not contain a valid copyright notice, you can use. Anything published between 1923 and 1978, which the copyright was never renewed. I mean, there's a lot of things out there. Anything authorized by employees of the federal government, pictures of presidents, pictures of things from NASA, the moon, works that the copyright owner is freely granted public domain. One thing that I found out in this module that I was really excited about was anything on public television, PBS, Mr. Rogers, I'll talk more about that later. Special allowances given to educators allow the educators, under most circumstances, to copy a chapter from a book, an excerpt from another larger work, a poem that's 250 words or less, or up to 250 words of a larger or longer poem. I remember reading it was a poem in 8th grade. I'll list it down below. An article, a single chart or graph, a picture from a book, just snippets, just a little chunk of something. Number 2, what's the example you have experienced where educators have broken a copyright law or a fair use policy? Is it a big deal or is it not a big deal? I grew up in the 80s, and one thing I remember was when I was in grade school, we did a whole music program, all Whitney Houston songs. I am pretty sure that we didn't have permission to use any of them, but I could be wrong, but I have a feeling that probably wasn't granted to our little school. I think that schools and educators are smarter today, and they know they can only use, a sample or a clip, or they have to go get special license permission to use it. My kids' elementary school plays a song every morning on the intercom, and they have a license to play, 30 seconds of that song. Let's see. Number 3, how did you score on the fair use quiz from the CSUS education site, and what questions surprised you? I got a 75% the first time, so I went back and reread some of the information that I might have misunderstood. I was surprised about the public domain, about the Bill Nye. Anything after 3 years after the original broadcast is public domain. You can go on and watch those and show them to students without any problems. I learned a lot in this module, and I think it's really interesting. Thanks.